He is making himself the victim and he's making me look like the liar. Poor him. He's had nothing to do with this. The stories were horrible, but they were true. And he's the one who's responsible for all of this. So we're texting one day. It's getting very dirty, very naughty. I get a text from the bodyguard, the Spanish bodyguard. Are you texting David right now? He texts me, stop. He's showing it to his friends and they're all laughing. First memories are London. I went to a school called Bassett House. I remember the books we read. So yeah, my childhood memories are of London, the gardens we had at Notting Hill. Very happy memory. Mummy was a hands-on mummy, very sort of Spanish. She cooked me lovely meals and good at taking us out to cultural things and museums and excursions. Weekends spent walking in the dunes and happy childhood. Did love to go out and dance. Loved music. Naughty things like I'd tell my parents I'm going to a friend's to study and we'd end up sneaking into Pacha. Then I go to London, I go to university. It's common knowledge that I'm bisexual. And so one of the things I loved about London was after a few months when I made some friends, I discovered Soho and I discovered a bar called the Freedom Bar. Wow. That was just, I just felt at home. I was like, oh my God, I'm not alone. I felt in a way that I kind of belonged, that London was very me. I signed up at a recruitment agency, an international recruitment agency for jobs. And my first interview was to be the PA to a tennis agent. And that's how I got into sports. The football department's big client, David Beckham, was going to sign a contract with Real Madrid. From Grosvenor Road, I was sitting down in reception waiting for my colleague because we were going to go out for lunch. And he walked past, looked me up and down, gave me a cheeky smile. I can't remember, it's just like, and I just looked at my colleague and went, oh, I'm not a football player. And it was a big thing because, you know, David Beckham from Manchester United was signing with Real Madrid. So the football team said, can you come and help? You know, you're from Madrid, you speak fluent Spanish. I mean, I could have been a cab driver in Madrid. That's how well I knew the city. And I speak the language, so I can be really helpful. And he stepped off the plane. This is my first impression of him. This is because the time I saw him in the office doesn't really count. It was like a real life Barbie and Ken. Playing up for the press, it's who they are. They're superstars. I wasn't fazed by it. It was just, okay, that's them. These are the clients. This is who I'm working for. So I was responsible for looking after Victoria that weekend. David was going to be whisked off to the football stadium to sign the contract.
How did you get on with them? What were your impressions of them?
Nice. Yeah, no problem. Witty. Big weekend media-wise for them. Worldwide press coverage covering this.
And what were your impressions of David at the time?
Nice guy. Yeah, they were both really nice. I was in charge of finding them a home. I got him a Spanish teacher. I got him a Spanish security team, house hunting, school hunting, planning fun weekends when the kids were visiting to go to safari parks. Yeah, it was very full on when they were all there. I was house hunting for them and something about the house, the pool, the gym, I can't remember what it was. But David said, let's say David said he wanted A, and then I spoke to Victoria and her PA in England, and Victoria wanted B. The next call is Victoria just wants you to talk directly to her. This is when he's in Asia. And so he starts texting me late at night. David, sorry, I've been given instructions not to talk to you directly. And he texts me back and says, we don't have to tell anyone.
Tonight we bring you the story of how David Beckham became a global phenomenon.
I'd seen an ad on Netflix. I love Netflix. I love documentaries. I love real life stories. So Thursday morning I get up, breakfast with the kids and check my Instagram. I've got a few new 100 followers and I thought that happens from time to time because old stories get published and then some people start following me. So I didn't think much of it and I dropped the kids off at school. I went to work. I work as a medical assistant in a medical office and suddenly the phone rings and it's an unknown number, so I answer, but I'm at work, so I'm like, hello, and it's a Norwegian journalist from Dagbladet wanting to know if I had any comments on the documentary. And I just said, no comments, I'm at work, please don't call me again. And I hung up, and then the phone started ringing again and again. And then I started realising, something must have been said, but I didn't know what had been said. And it was just been shock the first days and receiving so much hatred.
What did you think when you saw that episode? What was your reaction?
He is making himself the victim and he's making me look like the liar. He's making me look like I've made up these horrible stories. I'm the one that's made Victoria suffer. Poor him. He's had nothing to do with this and it was so awful. I think it's one thing if you don't want to take responsibility for things at home because of your family and your children, that's absolutely fine. And if he hadn't even mentioned any of that and just said it was a tough time for us and moved on, I wouldn't be here today. The stories were horrible, but they were true. And he's the one who's responsible for all of this. He's the one who's responsible for his wife's suffering. He's the one that decides to lie to her to say, we don't have to tell my wife. He's made all those choices.
Was there anything particular that he said that on that documentary that...
Yes, it was how awful it was to see his wife suffer so much. That bothered me.
Why?
Because he's the one that's caused the suffering. It's his behaviour, it's his lying. This is why I have decided, after giving it so many days thought, to speak. If I don't speak, if I remain silent, I will be known as the liar, the one who made up the stories. And I also have a family, and I also have children, and they also have Google, and they can also watch documentaries. And I want them to know that their mother was brave enough to stand up against them and to stand up for the truth. If he was going to touch on this time and how difficult it was, it would have been really nice for him to have said, not my proudest time, it was a tough time for us. Something like that, just maybe a little bit of acknowledgement. Or no acknowledgement at all and don't even touch the subject. I'd never received any closure. If somebody had just reached out to me, if he had just called me and said, I'm so sorry, how can we fix this? Things would have been so different. But I was made to look like a liar. I felt like I had to continuously defend myself. So we're texting one day. It's getting very dirty, very naughty, and it's fun. And suddenly I get a text from the bodyguard, the Spanish bodyguard. Are you texting David right now? He texts me, stop. He's showing it to his friends and they're all laughing. I was very hurt, and that hurt and that pain led me to become more laissez-faire and to not give a shit about keeping this big secret for him when he's treating me like that. I very much accepted the choices that I've made and the mistakes that I've made. I've come to terms with them. In hindsight, the best lessons I've learned in life. That path, those mistakes, everything I've learned along the way has brought me to where I am today. I am in the most wonderful place I could be. I'm so grateful. I have the most incredible husband, children, family. I'm just like...
Who you probably wouldn't have met if it hadn't been, you
I wouldn't have this life.